Next up, we're going to enter in some transactions. So to do that, I'm going to go down to my entity level. I'm going to go to Timberline GC and I'm going to enter in a subcontract. So once that loads up, I'm going to go to my purchasing module. I'm going to go to order, and yours might just have subcontract here, which is totally fine. I just have a lot of transaction definitions, which is why these are looking like this. So for subcontract, then I can click it and then I can add from there, or wherever I see this little green plus button on the menu, I can add directly from the menu. So once I get in here, then anything with the red asterisk is required. I'm going to put in my vendor, and my pay to, return to, and terms are going to default in from my vendor setup. And my due date will also default based off of the terms. So I need to put in a project. I'm going to try the sugar shop here, and then anything with the red asterisk is required. If you wanted to put in a default retainage percentage, you can do that here. You can also do that at the vendor level, but it's more common that it would happen at the subcontract level. These different fields here can be turned off or on in your transaction definition. They do come collapsed like this, so if you don't actually have anything to enter into them, then it's not that big of a deal. You're probably better off to have them turned on so that you do have that additional information. And this info that you put in here then can be accessed on a document template as well. So sometimes if there's a field that you're not using, we can repurpose it for something else. So you have the option to apply defaults then to all of your lines. So let's say you wanted to make every line here billable. So let's say we put in the sugar shop, customer, the department, billable, and then I'm going to apply the defaults, and then that's going to default in on every line. Down here then, anything with a red asterisk is required. You do have to put in item. You're required to enter an item because that is how you're telling the system which GL account you want to go to. So on sugar shop then, I would put in cost code, cost type, and then my item is going to default in from my cost type. If you wanted to move around this entry screen, you can hit more actions, edit entries layout, and you can move it around however makes the most sense for you. When you have it looking the way that you want, you would apply the layout changes to all form views. So whether you're creating, editing, or just simply viewing a transaction, and hit save layout. And then for your conversion type for a subcontract, it should be price. You're going to want your subcontracts to be conversion type of price. And then your extended price is the cost of your subcontract. So I'm going to put in $25,000 for my subcontract for Ace Drywall on Sugar Shop, and my default retainage percentage is 10 here, which is coming from where I put it in up here. You could have several lines on this, of course. And then I'm just going to post. And this might take a second. Okay, so that subcontract now has posted, and the next step in the process would be to convert the subcontract to a subcontract invoice. So you put in the subcontract for the full amount of the committed cost that is for that project. So for the duration of that project, what was the full amount? Now you've received an invoice from that subcontractor, and you're going to convert that to an invoice. So they've completed, let's say, $10,000 of the $25,000 contract. When I come in here, then anything with the red asterisk is required. Vendor document number is required at this point. So Intacct assumes you have an invoice number at this stage. And then down here on the entry screen, you're just going to come over to price, and you're going to say how much of this price are you converting. So they've completed $10,000, and I'm still holding my 10% retainage. So I'm going to convert $10,000 worth of the subcontract. Obviously, these other fields you can put information into. If you have an invoice that you receive from them, you can attach it in here and you can post that. So that subcontract invoice then posts, and it automatically gets pushed through to accounts payable when it posts. So if I go over to accounts payable and I look at my bills, I'm going to see an invoice there for Ace Drywall. So Ace Drywall subcontract invoice has automatically pushed over to AP when I converted that subcontract to a subcontract invoice. And then if I go back to purchasing and I look at my subcontract invoice, let's just take a look at the posting details on that. So I'm going to hit view, and then I'm going to go to posting details. And this has gone to my accounts payable journal. So I've created the invoice off of the subcontract invoice. So it reversed the $10,000 out of my sub journal. So I had originally posted the subcontract into my sub journal or my sub book. And then when I created this transaction, it automatically reversed that out and then sent it over to accounts payable. So I have $9,000 going to accounts payable, and I have $1,000 going to retainage payable, which is exactly what I would have wanted to happen. So that's my journals. And then the last thing that I want to look at is if I go back to my order, go back to my subcontract, how do I put in a subcontract change order now against this subcontract? So there's two ways to do that. You can do it just by going into order and hit subcontract change order, and you can do it from there, but that's actually a more difficult way of doing it because you have to link it to your original document. So what you'll do is you'll go into the subcontract, hit edit, and then you're going to hit more actions, new change, and you're going to do subcontract change order. So once you come into the subcontract, hit more actions, new change, subcontract change order, and then it's going to pull in the information from your subcontract so you don't have to remember that. See, it links it to your source document. And then down here on this line, you're just going to say, this is price and it's $500. My extended price is $500. And you can hold retainage as well on your change orders. If you don't want to, you can zero that out. So I have a $500 change order. I'm going to post that. And then that brings me in and I can see now I have a change order created for my Ace Drywall subcontract. And if I go back to my subcontract and view it, I'll see a change in the change document tab. Now I have my $500 change order created against that subcontract. Okay, so this is for my sugar shop job. So I'm going to go over to projects and I'm going to take a look at a nice tab that gives you an overview of commitments for your projects. So if I come into my project information, I have a purchasing commitments tab here. And if I look at that, I should have, my Ace Drywall down here. So I have my $25,000 original amount. I have a $500 change order against that subcontract, and I've invoiced out $10,000. If there was a payment against it, I would see that here as well. So this purchasing commitments tab is a really nice overview of your subcontracts purchase orders within your project. And if you're not seeing that tab, then it is in your project's setup configuration that you would turn that on. So you probably want to do that at top level, go to top level, hit projects, setup, configuration, and it's down towards the bottom. Here in this additional options, you have the option to turn on a bunch of different tabs within your project setup screen. And it is this purchasing commitments tab. So if you don't have that on, that's a really nice one to be able to see like a snapshot of that project, commitments against that project. So I would recommend turning that on. So let's say you have created a subcontract invoice and you have a credit against that invoice. What we recommend doing is using reverse conversion to make sure that that amount is available for conversion again within the original document.